The rain poured outside as Daniel Cole stepped into the small café, shaking off the cold city air. He hadn't been there in 10 years, not since he'd left this town behind chasing money and success. The sign above the counter was the same. The smell of cinnamon and roasted beans pulled him back in time. For a moment he felt like the young man he used to be, before the city hardened him. He took a seat near the window, checking his watch while waiting for a business associate. He didn't notice the waitress approach until a soft voice broke through his thoughts. "Welcome back, sir." The words hit him strangely warm yet heavy. He looked up slowly and froze. She stood there holding a notepad, her smile polite, her eyes calm but familiar. Too familiar. Her hair was tied back the same way it used to be when she'd run down the pier to meet him 10 years ago. Her name slipped from his lips before he could stop it. Anna. She blinked recognition flickering across her face, but she kept her composure. "Good to see you again, Mr. Cole." He stared at her, stunned. She'd changed, but her eyes hadn't. They still held that quiet depth that used to make him forget the world he tried to speak, but no words came out. She smiled faintly. "What can I get you?" He cleared his throat. "Coffee black." She nodded, writing it down before turning away. His chest tightened, watching her walk toward the counter. 10 years ago, he'd promised her he'd come back once he made something of himself. But he never did. Now she was standing in front of him, not as the girl waiting by the docks, but as the woman serving coffee to the man who broke her heart. Daniel sat there motionless, his coffee untouched, his reflection staring back at him from the dark surface of the cup. The sound of rain against the window matched the ache in his chest. Every second stretched like a reminder of everything he had left behind. When Anna returned to his table, her smile was polite, practiced, but her eyes avoided his completely. He finally spoke, his voice low. "I didn't know you still lived here." She nodded quietly. "Some people stay," she said simply. He winced at the calm truth in her tone. It wasn't bitter, just real. He tried again. "I always meant to come back." She looked at him for a brief moment, then said softly, "You didn't owe me that, Daniel. You made your choice." He swallowed hard. It wasn't that simple. She gave a small, sad smile. "It never is, but people who want to stay always find a way." He wanted to explain how life in the city had consumed him, how every success felt hollow without her, but excuses felt useless. Now she looked too steady, too whole without him. He asked carefully, "Do you still paint?" She blinked, caught off guard. "You remember that?" He smiled faintly. "I remember everything." She nodded. "I still do sometimes, mostly landscapes, less heartbreak that way." The cafe door opened, and a child's laughter cut through the heaviness. A small boy ran to the counter, hugging Anna's leg. Tightly, she bent down, smiling bright and warm. "Hey, sweetheart, how was school?" Daniel stared, his breath catching completely, the boy's hair dark like his own, his eyes bright like hers. She looked up and met his gaze, the truth passing between them. Without a word, the world seemed to stop as he whispered, barely audible, "He's mine, isn't he?" Her silence was louder than any answer could be. The cafe went quiet. The world outside blurred behind the glass. Daniel's throat went dry as the little boy tugged at Anna's sleeve, asking softly, "Mama, can we go home soon?" She brushed his hair gently. "Of course, sweetheart," her voice tender and calm. Then she looked back at Daniel, her expression unreadable. "Yes," she said. "Finally, he's yours too." He stared at her, unable to breathe. "How old is he?" "6." She answered quietly. The exact number of years he had been gone. He sat back, his mind racing through everything he had missed, the first steps, the first words, the bedtime stories, all replaced by boardrooms. "And business deals," he whispered. "I didn't know." She nodded. "I know you didn't. That's why I never reached out. I didn't want to interrupt your world." He shook his head. "I didn't have a world without you." For a moment, neither of them spoke, just the rain filling the silence. She looked at him then with eyes that carried both strength and sadness. "Daniel, you made your choice to leave. I made mine to keep going," he said softly. "I wanted to come back every day, but I was scared. Scared that you'd moved on." She smiled faintly. "I didn't move on. I just learned to stand still without waiting." The boy ran to the counter to grab a cookie. She watched him lovingly, then turned back to Daniel. "I named him Noah. She said your mother's name was her favorite memory of you." He felt his heart twist. "I wish I'd been there for him for you," she sighed. "It's too late to wish, Daniel, but maybe not too late to be better." He looked at her desperate. "Tell me what I can do." She met his gaze, steady and calm. "Start by showing up," she said. "Not for me, for him." He nodded. "I will." She smiled softly. "I hope so. Because he deserves more than promises. He deserves presence." A week later, Daniel found himself standing outside the cafe again, his heart racing the same way it did years ago before he ever told Anna he loved her. This time he wasn't there for coffee or closure. He was there to keep a promise through the glass. He saw Noah sitting at a corner table drawing on napkins while Anna served customers. Her movements calm, her smile gentle. Daniel stepped inside the bell above the door, chiming softly. Noah looked up, spotting him, and waved shyly. "You came," he said. Daniel smiled. "Yes, I came." Anna glanced over, surprised but not cold. She nodded slightly, before walking to another table, giving them space. Daniel sat beside Noah, watching him draw tiny stick figures holding hands. "Who's that?" he asked. Pointing, the boy grinned. "That's Mommy and me, and the man she told me about." Daniel's voice caught. "Which man?" Noah said proudly. "The one who went away but came back." Anna walked over quietly, placing 2 cups of cocoa on the table. "Noah, you have 10 more minutes before bedtime." "Okay," she said. He nodded, focusing on his drawing again. Daniel looked at her. "You told him about me," she said softly. "He asked about his father. I told him he was someone brave who lost his way but always loved him, even if he didn't know it yet." He lowered his head, guilt heavy in his chest. "I don't deserve that kindness," she replied gently. "Maybe not yet, but you can earn it if you try." He looked up at her eyes, shining with the same softness he had fallen in love with years ago. "I want to," he said. "Not just for him, for us." She smiled faintly. "We'll see." She paused, then added softly, "You used to talk about finding happiness, Daniel. Maybe it was never in the city, maybe it was right here waiting." Outside, the rain had stopped, the streetlights casting golden pools across the wet pavement. Noah climbed into his lap, yawning, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt still whole, complete. Anna looked at them both and whispered, "Welcome back, Daniel." This time it didn't sound like politeness, it sounded like forgiveness. He smiled through the ache in his chest and held his son close, whispering quietly, "I'm home." If this story made you smile, share it with someone who needs a reminder that accidents can turn into beautiful beginnings.